Hello, welcome to the Bearded Hooker. This is Walter, and today we're going to work on our flowers for the Freeform Crochet along bag that we're making. These are the 4 flowers that we'll be doing, these 4 different types. This one has like a folded section, so like they're like wrapped around in the center here. This has a nice little edging here as well. This flower actually is the same thing as this flower, just stopping at this section here. And then here's a flower with a spike stitch, which is an interesting stitch. So we're gonna make these, and then our next time we get together, we'll actually be assembling the bag. So without further ado, let's get started. We want to do a magic circle or magic ring. And then we're gonna do 10 single crochets in the loop. 1, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you don't want to pull the non-working end too tight, because we're actually going to be going through the center again. So after you get your 10 single crochets, you slip stitch into your first single crochet, and then you're going to do single crochets over the top of these single crochets and into the loop. Let me see. I think that looks good. Okay. So you want to go through, pull up a loop, and then do your single crochet. And you're going to do 10 of those as well. And then from here, you're going to slip stitch into your first single crochet. And then you want to pull your non-working end so it makes it nice and tight. And then when you end up with this really cool, thick centerpiece that almost looks padded because it's like double layers of single crochets. Then we're gonna do the puff stitch next. So we're gonna do the puff stitch next, which is this here. I'm gonna pull your loop about the height of what a double crochet is. You wanna wrap around your hook, go through the same stitch as your slip stitch from the previous round was, and we're gonna do that for a total of 4 times, because this is the starting puff stitch. And pull through 1 chain. That chain does not count as part of anything. That's the ending of the stitch. And then we're going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to go into the next single crochet. You want to yarn over, pull up a loop about the same height as the previous one, and you want to do that for a total of 5 times. 2, 3, 4, 5. And then pull through all those loops on the hook. 1 chain, that's the end of the stitch. Chain 3. And then yarn over, pull up a loop, a long loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Yarn over, pull through all the loops on the hook. one chain, 1, 2, 3. You want to do that around, so you'll have a total of 10 puff stitches, and then you're going to slip stitch at the end. So I will meet you at that spot. Be right back. I have finished doing the 10 puff stitches around, and then it's a slip stitch into the closing chain 1 on the top of the first puff stitch, pull up a loop, slip stitch in here, and then we're going to finish off, and then just remember that we're leaving extra long tails because we'll be using these tails to sew our pieces together. And then in the next stitches, we are going to make 5 double crochet in each of these, chain 3 loops, and I'm going to go with my medium coral color just as it darkens. So you can do a standing double crochet, instead of doing like joining in chain 3. And then in the first one you want to just do four double crochets, because the standing double crochet counts as your first double crochet, and then you want to do 5 double crochets in each of the loops. And I just like to crochet over the tails a little. And then we just do that around. And I'll meet you back up at the... Okay, now you just slip stitch into the top of your standing double crochet. And we will chain 4. Skip your next double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, skip this double crochet, go into the next double crochet, and you want to do that around. And I'll finish that up and meet you back. Okay, so we've finished that part. I slip stitched, so it's all one piece. It is curling up a little. If yours is curling up, you can do chain 2s in between each double crochet, and that should help alleviate that. When we do the next round, it should help flatten it out. And the other thing is, this is a freeform crochet bag, so it doesn't really matter that it curls up a little. If it curls up a lot, it'll just add like another dimension to the bag itself. But if curling up really bothers you, and I know it does for some people, you certainly again can do the 2 double crochets in between each, the 2 single crochets in between each double crochet, and that should alleviate that. So for our next round, we're going to slip stitch into the first chain 1 space. Going to chain 4, 3, 4. We're going to skip that, single crochet into the next chain 1 space, and we'll do that around. We're going to do shells in the chain 4 loops that we just made, which are this piece here. So it's 3 double crochets, a chain 2, and 3 double crochets in each chain 4 loop around, and then that's what we're going to do. So slip stitch here, 1, 2, 3. And then just do that again. 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, and each chain 4 loop. And when I get finished, I'll see you guys back here. Here I have finished it and slip stitched and finished off. And you can see that my center is really like bubbling up, and I'm just gonna stretch it out and it'll be fine. So I'm taking my next color, which is this, in the same family as this, and we're going to start with a standing double crochet in the chain 1 space from round 5. So it's the chain 1 space here, which is, this is round 5, and this is the one we skipped. So I'm going to do a standing double crochet, and then do 2 more double crochets, do 3 double crochets around the post, which is here. You want to go from the top to the center of your piece. And then you're going to do 3 double crochets from the bottom or from the center to the top of the next double crochet from round 5. And that brings us back to the chain 1 space that was skipped. So we want to do 3 double crochets in that chain 1 space. And then it'll be 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. And as you can see, we're starting to get that like ruffled look to this. That does this. So it'll look like this. So I'm gonna put the ruffle around the inside of my flower, and when I get to the end, I'll be back. Here I am just finishing up the last 3 double crochets around the post of the double crochet, and our flower ruffle is done. I'm going to slip stitch in the top double crochet, finish off, and as you guys all know, I leave super long tails because when I start assembling the bag, that's what I'll be using to sew the different different pieces together. So these are the 3 ruffled center flowers that I have for our bag in 3 different colorways. Your yarn, make a magic ring, chain 3 into the ring, and then do 15 double crochets. And the first chain 3 counts as a double crochet, so there will be a total of 16 double crochets in the magic ring. Is it magic ring? Yes, magic ring. Take the non-working end of the yarn and pull it tight. So you have that nice firm center. Slip stitch. And for this one, we're going to do all the same color except for the center ruffle piece. That will be done in a different shade of green, so we're not having to worry about changing colors here. For our next round, we do chain 4, 2 double crochet in the next stitch, and the chain 4 counts as a double crochet plus 1 chain. We're doing 1 double crochet, chain 1, 2 double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1, 1 double crochet in the next stitch, chain 1. So then it's the 2 double crochets, chain 1, and we'll have 24 double crochets. So now we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 2 double crochets in the single crochet. So this is our increase. Skip the chain 1 space, double crochet in each of the next double crochets, so that's 2 double crochets, and then it's 3 double crochets in the single double crochet, and just do that around. And you'll slip stitch into the top of the chain 3 of the first stitch, and that's the end of round 3. Now we're going to chain 5, skip the next double crochet in the next double crochet, chain 2, skip a double crochet, then double crochet, and then you're just going to do that around. And then you want to slip stitch to the top to the third chain of the beginning chain 5. Now I'm going to, instead of doing a puff stitch like I did here, I'm going to do a popcorn, because that might be easier for some people than doing a puff stitch, and it still has that same kind of effect that we're looking for. So what we're going to do is slip stitch into the chain 2 space, chain 3, do 4 double crochets, pull out your loop, go to the third chain of the first stitch, insert your loop, put your hook through the loop that you left, gather it, use a single crochet to close, and then you have your popcorn. So just to show you that again, we're going to do 5 double crochets, these are your 5 double crochets. You make your hoop a little longer so you're not pulling out your stitches. You insert your hook into the top loops of the first double crochet, tighten your loop down, pull it through, close with this chain, and then chain 3, and then you do your next popcorn, which is 5 double crochets. Your loop, slide it into the first one, pull up your working loop, tighten it down, chain. And you're just going to do that around, so you have a total of 20 popcorns. And I have finished doing the popcorns around, and I slip stitch into the first popcorn, and that finishes round 5. And for round 6, we're just going to do 4 single crochet in each chain 3 loop around. I've made my 4 single crochets in each of the chain 3 loops. I'm finishing off with a slip stitch, and that's the end of this color. The next part we're going to be doing is working on this ruffled inner ring, which will be going around here. So again, I'm going to leave a long tail because I'm going to be using these tails to weave this all together. Go with this yellowish green color to do this inner piece here. we are joining with a standing double crochet in the second double crochet of the 2 double crochet loop group on round 2. So this is the 2 double crochet group, and we're going to be joining here, and we're going to go from the top to the center. So it's very similar to the ruffle that we did in the previous flower, but this one has that nice twist look to it. So join with your standing double crochet, turn the work so it was easier for me to crochet, and then I'm going to turn it back, and now I'm going to do 3 double crochet in the first double crochet of that group, and I'm going to go from the bottom to the top. So here it's 1, 2, 3, and now I'm going twist it so I'm looking at it, and in this first chain 1 space here we're going to do 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to do a chain 3 peacock. And then we're going to skip this double crochet and do 3 double crochets in this chain 1 space. And now we're going to do 3 double crochets from the top down in the second double crochet of the 2 double crochet loop group. Now I'm going to turn the work 180 degrees, and I'm going to go back to that double crochet, the first double crochet of the 2 double crochet group, and I'm going to do 3 double crochets around the post, starting at the bottom. 2, 3, and then I'm going to turn it back, and this is where it gives it that nice swirl look. And from here I'm going to do 3 double crochets in this first chain space here. And then we're going to chain 3, slip stitch into the top of the of your last double crochet made, and that forms your peacock. And then you want to do 3 double crochets in the next chain 1 space. And then we're back to the 2 double crochet group. We skip the first one, do 3 double crochets around the post of the second double crochet. And then I'm going to turn this 180 degrees. And then from the bottom to the top, I'm going to do 3 double crochets around the first double crochet of the 2 double crochet group. Then we're going to, in this first chain 1 space here, where my thumb is, we're going to do 3 double crochets. Chain 3, slip stitch to form the peacock, skip this chain double crochet, 3 double crochet in the next chain 1 space, as you can see, we're starting to get that really nice swirled look. And then you just continue this around. We are at the last, I've made my last 3 double crochets, and then this is the start where we started. So from here, what we want to do is go slip stitch into the top of the chain 3, and then pull up a loop. As I've said once or twice, I'll leave a long tail, and then what I like to do is, if you look here, kind of where it loops over, I like to pull that extra thread down, and it helps to ensure that it's wrapped around. And then, so we're going to start our next small flower, which is made with the spike stitch and puff stitches. Here's the spike stitch, and then these little tiny half shells. So we want to do a magic ring and do 8 single crochets in that ring. You want to tighten the ring, or then tighten the non-working end of the yarn so it closes your ring. Slip stitch into your first single crochet, and then we're going to do the puff stitch. So we're going to pull up a loop about the size of a double crochet, run over, and we're going to do that for 4 times. That's 3, 3, and 4. Now you want to do 1 chain, and that doesn't count as your stitches, and then you're going to do chain 2, and then you're going to do another puff stitch. So we're going to have a total of 8 puff stitches around. 1 chain to seal it, which is part of the stitch, and then chain 2. And then you just do that around, and we'll have a total of 8 puff stitches. And when I get it done, I'll be back. I just finished the last puff stitch, join with a slip stitch to the top of the first, and then we will cut the yarn and finish off. Pull that out. If you notice, I actually ran out of this dark blue yarn, this like kind of royalish kind of yarn, when I was doing this. And I know I've mentioned this. This is a stash busting project for me. So I don't mind that this is bicolor. If that bothers you, certainly you don't have to do that. Or if that's something you really like, having 2 different shades of colors in the same row, then feel free to do that as you wish. So it doesn't, there's like no hard and fast rules as far as that goes. I'm just using up bits of yarn, and so then we're gonna take your next color, and I like to go with a contrasting color, because when we're doing the spike stitch, like we're going, and this stitch went way too far, we're like going down, so by doing a nice contrasting color, it really shows that off. So on this one, when we look at it, I didn't do a high contrast color, and while this flower looks really nice, it just doesn't have the pop that this orange and yellow and purple one does. That's all. Again, it's a totally preference for you, and I've worked really hard to ensure that all of the different elements that I've been making for this bag range from this nice vibrant jewel tone hues to like the really pastels, so that when the bag is put together, it really has a nice appearance. So with that said, join in any of the chain 2 loops, do a single crochet, and then we're doing a single crochet spike stitch. So what we're doing is we're going to take our yarn, we're going to take our hook and go down to the first round, pull up a loop, but make it a long loop, and then finish your single crochet. And then you'll do another single crochet. So that makes your spike stitch. So to do that again, we will do a single crochet in the next chain 2 loop, you want to go down to the first round, pull up a long loop, and then finish your single crochet. And you're just going to do that around. So we're going to join with a slip stitch in the first single crochet of any of the chain 2 loops. So slip stitch, and then 3 double crochets into the top of the spike stitch, then single crochet, slip stitch into the next 2 single crochets, then it's the 3 double crochets into the top of the spike stitch, two slip stitches, three double crochets into the top, slip stitch into the next 2, and you just do that around. Okay, and then when you get finish that, you'll slip stitch into the first slip stitch, and your flower is complete. I think, you know, this turned out really cute. I really like the way it has those 2 different colors. So it just looks well. To just recap, we have the first week was the base and the rim of the bag, in addition to the spirals that we made for that. Week 2 was the bullion stitch, and we made 3 different motifs for that. So we made just the basic round motifs, we made spiral motifs with the bullion stitch, and then we made just some random shapes with the bullion stitch on the ends. And then this week we really focused on making the last of our elements. So we have, you know, the different flower pieces that we just made. And then these are the 4 different flowers. So next week what we'll be doing is starting to sew this all together. We'll be adding additional stitches onto some of these pieces so that it gives it more interest and dimension. So that's all I have. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you're interested in seeing more videos that I'm producing, please subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them at the bottom. If there's anybody you think who would be interested in doing a freeform crochet bag, please share this video with them, and have a great day, and see you next week.